Last time on Moto Therapy, I rode up into Colorado and got a room during a thunderstorm in Silverton and explored the city while waiting to ride the Alpine Loop. 11,200, almost 300 feet, 11,300 feet. We're at the intersection of Cinnamon Pass and Engineer Pass, and starting to get a little bit rugged and rocky, but nothing that's overwhelming so far. Definitely, if you're going to be in a vehicle, you need a four-wheel drive or a decent climbing motorcycle. I was thinking up till this point you could get up here on a Harley. I think probably to the little whatever's left over of this little mining village. I'm thinking you could probably get up here on a Harley if you were careful and went slow. But now it's starting to get rugged, and I mean, you can see this little road will probably beat me up pretty good. I don't know if I'm gonna go up this way or go around the Engineer, but if you can see, the shack's way the hell up there on the side of the mountain. Just wondering how you get up there besides climbing. 11,000 feet, it's a hell of a climb. I think there's one on the other side of that too. Looks like, man, we're up here and there's some snow right there in those little crevasses. If you can see those. A little leftover snow. Hasn't fully melted yet. Anyway. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get on up here. So as I rolled up this county road that is maintained up until December and is closed from December through May because it's covered in 20 feet of snow. If you've ever seen pictures of this road, when they actually when the snow starts to melt, you'll see walls of snow and ice that are 15, 20 feet or higher. But as I rolled up beyond the 10,000 foot mark, I started noticing the trees disappearing. And you'll notice some small trees over to the left and grass pretty much everywhere. But the trees give way to simple tundra, which is a short, hardy grass that only grows in certain parts of the world. And you can see the trees have pretty much disappeared here. And up above, I think it's around 11,000 feet, you don't see much of anything. It's just rock, which is really fascinating. This is my first experience with Alpine tundra, and you can see some of the scree on the right here. That's kind of what everything gives way to at a point up here. Starting to see it's getting a little bit rough here. The county does maintain these roads, but this is this is not a good place for passenger cars. You need a pretty high clearance vehicle. Four-wheel drive is probably the best idea, or a good motorcycle. This is not the best motorcycle for what I'm doing here. And everybody I talked to up here was quite shocked to see a big street-looking bike up here on this rugged road. But mostly, other than a few muddy holes like this, there was only maybe 4 or 5 spots that were a little bit of a challenge. Just had to have your clutch throttle abilities and be able to maintain your momentum without spinning your tires. You can probably get pretty badly injured up here, but it's not hours and hours of struggling. It's like I said, from what I remember, and several times since this first time. Here's a kind of a tricky spot here. It's in a turn, and the Jeeps just kind of dig everything out too, so makes it a little bit more difficult. I did cross what looked like a repair to the road, which was kind of a high dirt berm. looked like somebody, one of the tractors came up here, and you'll see a couple of tractors on the side of the road. Heavily maintained trail because it washes out with the snow, and I think maybe more damage comes from Jeeps than anything else. There's people up here driving in Jeeps that shouldn't be driving on the street, much less on a rugged trail like this. And it's not a real challenging trail. Most of the parts I rode, I think you can probably get a regular street bike on. It's just getting across the switchback sometimes, and some of the rockier places that have a real need for high clearance vehicles. As you can see, I'm looking down now, and you can see the brown spots are the scree mountain tops that replace the tundra, and it is spectacular. It's cold, it's windy. I'd say it's probably low 60s here. I've been back several times since this first trip, and I don't think there's anything like this at least in America, that I've experienced. I don't remember seeing anything like this before or since. It's just such an amazing place to ride on a more capable motorcycle. You can ride just about anywhere you want to go out here. There's some hiking trails. I don't think they want you on those, but other than that, this place is just simply amazing. Miles and miles and miles of trails and roads, and now we're back up above the tundra, and you can see there's nothing but just bare rock up here. There may be some lichens or something growing up here, but it's not obvious on the rock. It's just a bunch of red rock interspersed with some quartz and things like that. I'm guessing that's what makes this place such a great mining area, because of the rocks. Now I'm rolling up to Engineer Pass here. This is the first pass that I crossed, and met some real folks on some capable machines, and they were pretty shocked to see me up here and had lots of questions for me, and how the heck I managed to drag that big bike up here. But I wished I could have had more of the conversation, but it was so windy that you really didn't get much of the conversation. But these guys were pretty excited. This was a father-daughter team, and I probably saw 2 to 3 times as many motorcycles up here as I did Jeeps, which every time since then it's been more Jeeps. So obviously the Jeeps are invading the area a little bit more than I would prefer. But anyway, this guy was pretty interesting.
Okay. And then you'll come up Cinnamon Pass, toward the west, and come over down, and then you'll be back to the road that takes you back to Silverton.
I hope y'all like my little camera on a stick trick. At least gets the camera away from my face, gives you a little bit more panorama, less face, more scenery. I know you guys, nobody wants to see my face, but also want to take you with me, and I don't really know how to do that without sticking a camera in my face. I don't know. I like it. I like to see other people talking in the camera. It's a little video diary thing. I'm probably gonna die before I get up here to this little rock structure. 12,000 feet. I have a hard time climbing at sea level. But I am getting up into this damn cabin. If it kills me, it just might. Okay, we got wood. get wood. Looks like once was a real cabin. Maybe a sheep herder's cabin, I don't know. There's critters in here. Hope this critter can get in here. These folks maybe had a fireplace there even. Yeah. I bet this thing's only been gone for a few years. I mean, that wood doesn't last forever. So, anyway. And there's the snow. I'll have to go over there in a minute. I've got it all to myself. What used to be someone's home, or at least shelter. I'm sure somebody stayed in here. Build you a little fire. Great view. You can watch your sheep. Get your dogs to keep them on the tundra. Keep them out of the trees down there where you can't see them. Wonder about the history of this cabin. Bet somebody can tell me. Some historian. Well, grab me a snack and a drink and smoke, and I feel a little bit better. I just kind of want to roll up and take a nap here. This might not be a bad place to camp right here, except for all the critters. I mean, at least it's a windbreak, and I bet it only gets down to, I don't know, mid-20s here. I mean, there's snow over there in the crevasse. So I'm going to wander over there, snap a few pictures on the way, and then head on back down to the bike. I need to get rolling before it rains. I heard it's been raining here every afternoon, so don't want to get caught up in 12,000 feet in the rain. I tell you what, just knowing the fact that men lived up here and worked, just reminds me what a real pussy I am. Used to think I was a man, but this is a man's land just to live out here. But to work out here, and hard work at that. I mean, mining, there's nothing easy about mining. This is it's rugged country. Just walking almost a straight line across from that cabin. Still out of breath. It's not really hard climbing, it's just there's no air up here. I'm inside a glacier, homies. Don't want to get too far in here, get my camera wet, it's dripping, it's melting. I don't give a shit who you think you are, if you're some kind of scientist. It's a glacier, fuck you. I'm standing basically underneath a glacier, and kind of tricky getting up here. It's gonna be extra tricky getting down. I gotta get back to my bike before I kill myself. I'm using my monopod as a walking stick. It's holding my weight, but going down's always been tricky for me. Climbing down is a bitch, and that's what I gotta climb down. I'll make my way down the creek a little bit the way I came in. Make it back over to my bike. Oh, right there on the road. This may be my last message to you if I don't make it. You know, I died doing what I love. Building a snowman. Crazy beautiful. I'm worn out, but it was worth every 1,000 calories spent getting up here. I got a few more. Reserve. I think that took an hour round trip. Up to there. We'll cross over there to the I got no oxygen in my brain. Papa said there's a storm coming up to holler. That's why we's indoors. I know it don't look like it, but it's raining. It's coming this way. That's why we're staying in the house. Looks like a pretty good swimming hole, huh? I wasn't really prepared for all the wind and the accompanying wind noise on this journey, but I was struck by how extraordinary the ruins of the mining industry and the ghost towns that came as a result of it were. I'm used to coal mines, not gold mines and silver mines, but there were actually still some functioning gold mines up here. So apparently there's still gold in them there hills. This section of the Alpine Loop runs from Silverton over Engineer Pass and into Lake City. The loops are littered with ghost towns and old mining ruins like this. There's even a dam that's in ruins. Some people find this very distracting and don't really appreciate it like I do. This road is actually running beside the river here into Lake City. But the return route out of Lake City runs along this canyon here that has a sheer face of maybe 150 feet. Just enough room for a motorcycle to comfortably ride down. You can pass other motorcycles, but the Jeeps have to actually be very careful because they can't really pass each other. I've passed a few Jeeps on sections like this where they just come to a complete stop and I go around them, which is what I would prefer. I would prefer at least not to be on the outside. Most people, when they're passing, they try to get to the inside of the road, regardless of which direction they're coming from. So they'll turn left in front of you on a section like this and just hug the road so you can pass on the outside, which I don't really mind, but I just think it's kind of funny. People riding in this kind of an environment, driving their Jeeps, which they clearly can't operate, are just terrified by sections like this. And some of them tend to panic, and it's kind of interesting to see and kind of scary to be riding beside them. But this is a somewhat challenging section of the loop for people that don't have a lot of skills. It's mostly dirt roads, but there are some challenging sections, and you have to kind of be on your game or you can get hurt up here. I would recommend that you carry lots of water and just take your time and crawl over these sections like this that put up a little bit of a challenge for, I would think, most riders. But as long as you've got the right bike and you've had some kind of training, I think most people could do this on a competent, treaded motorcycle. Join me next time as I leave Colorado and head west into the desert of Utah and spend a few days exploring the area around Moab. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button, share with your friends, and hit the subscribe button if you think you might want to see what's coming up next. Sure appreciate it. See you next time.